one.
And welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on, good question, August 4th, 2024 at approximately 4:31 p.m. PST. Now I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every movement by. Now, with this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own efforts. Now, this week we have been looking at aliens and multiracial species. Well, we had to shift partway through this because there aren't that many that are really truly multiracial. So we've already looked at the elephant, okay, and we've already looked at the Kaldor race, the dwarven race. Today we're going to be looking at different races of the sea. Okay. In other words, the ones that actually you don't see on land very much for a lot of reasons. But before I get into it, we're just going to scroll up to the top here, make sure I didn't screw something up. We have Renee, you are in the house with the gold. Glad you could join us. Hopefully things are going well on your end. Kevin, you are here with the silver. And I missed two here. So I hope things are picking up pace at a reasonable level for you. LA Moon, we are on final countdown. And that goes to you, it goes for you too, Storm. We are now down to the last 10 days, today being the 4th. And we fly out of here on the 13th. Which means, guys, we'll be here this week. We'll be here until Monday, I think. Let me just double check the date. 13th is the Tuesday, so we probably won't even have a show on Tuesday because I'm likely going to be airborne. But that being said, what did I just do there? Oh, there we go. And we have, there we go. And Storm's just letting us know that Wu was in, which means minor adjustment. Wu come in with the gold. That means Renee, you came in with the silver. And we do not have bronze in yet. That being said, I was going through my list of books, of races I've been dealing with. Let's just take a peek at the bottom of it. I'll be working on this again tonight. But right now, I've got roughly 119 races that are listed. I know I've got at least 3 more that are being added to the list. So, let me ask you guys. It's taken way too long to get Races of the World Book 1, Volume 1 out. Okay. But it was suggested yesterday that I start putting them out, not 60 at a time, but look at somewhere around 5 to 10 in a smaller, more comprehensive form. Okay. I'd love to know what your guys' take on this is, because it's time to get moving on getting things out where they are relatively on their own, inexpensive, easily attainable, and yet comprehensive enough to work with. So today we're looking at the seaborne race species. Okay. Oh, there we go. Kevin is bronze. We missed one. Thank you so much there, LA. Yeah, so what I'm looking at, I won't be sorting them out alphabetically, but I will be putting the list together and then putting as many out in proper proximity. Understand, they're not necessarily going to be in the order that the other ones came out in, but as I get them sorted out, I will be keeping tabs on it, so I can give a written pamphlet to let you know which races are in which volume as they come out. That will simply be something that gets added to the newsletter, to Positive Perspectives. Okay, in this way, it makes it easy to put them together, and again, we can cover a lot more efficiently the ones you guys are seeking info on. That depends on what if you're referring to spatial sector, like storms going, how about small breaks divided into between sectors? Now, if you're referring to astronomical sectors, I don't know astronomy nor their physical locations well enough to pull that one off. Into different types, or for instance, I know in one case, well, in the case of 3 or 4 different races that are on one planet, then they can certainly be popped in that fashion. Okay, but I've got that race out, but I will start looking at the second list as in 61 up. Okay. Now what do we got here? Now, the first race I'm going to look at here, and again, guys, if you have a question, absolutely come out and ask. Okay. Now, let me see what I'm looking at here. I gotta go all the way back up here. Just gotta scroll down and grab the picture, because I don't know how many of these that Storm has in his hand right now. But not them. We are looking at these neat little people here. These are the Archon. Where, pray tell? Whoops. Okay. Now, Storm. This, and I didn't know if you had it or not. Didn't really matter. Okay. But this picture I've just sent you is the Archon. Now, we got to realize the Archon are a rather intriguing race. These guys start off, like most entities, they start off microscopic to begin with. But if you take a look at this picture, where are we here? If you take a look at this picture, what you'll see is not only are they an elongated body, but they've got four little flanges as well. Now, what is that thing? As we know, family has to come first. So when you take a look at that race, they start off microscopic, but those four little limbs that you see are literally those as they get bigger are literally what turn into legs. Okay, but here's the neat part. Okay, they simply where are we here? Scroll down just a fraction. Okay, now the Archon are rather unique, are rather rare. And we have, what do we got here? We had Kevin in with the bronze. This means Joe Stewart, you are in with the honorable mention. Hopefully things are going well on your end. Now with the Archon, they start off microscopic, but as they grow, unlike a standard cell, these guys do not isolate into new forms. Okay, they simply get larger. So once they get a little larger, they will constantly move to larger organisms, and that is done via bodily fluid exchange. Okay, sometimes depending on what the host is, because they will use any host. Okay, that means they may be taking a human host, could be an off-worlder, maybe an ancient race, could be a plant or an animal. It doesn't matter. Okay, they simply borrow the information from the primary source in order to evolve. Now, when you look at it, and of course, this information is already in Races of the Worlds. Okay, and again, much as we've got all this information coming, if you're looking for the book itself, okay, this is volume 1 of Races of the Worlds. But the second printing is what we're working on closing off. But if you're looking for a copy of it, all you gotta do is go to the top of the live stream here, where it says "Buy me a coffee." Now, this week I will be going in to my printer and finding out what it's going to cost me to put the second printing out. Okay, Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully, work is going well. Now, I will tell you, with Race of the Worlds Volume 2, because of a number of reasons, I am going to be setting up an interesting situation where I will be taking pre-orders. I haven't worked out the price yet because I don't know what it is, but I will tell you the pre-orders are going to come out at a reduced rate. Okay, that will literally be in order to accommodate getting the books printed. Okay, all kinds of wonderful little hiccups on that end, but when you take a look at the Archon, they will move into larger life forms. If they get too big for the form they're in, they will find as quickly as they can. They will find a body of water to get into. Doesn't matter what the body is. At that point, they stop their growth until they can get a little bigger, until they can get into the right environment. Now, the Archon are, as you can well imagine, they are a race that feeds on biomass. In all fairness, as they get older, their diet changes rather drastically. Okay, but they start off as a parasite, and there is no environment that I've come across that they cannot survive in, including high acid, vacuum, magma. Okay, they just don't pass away that way. But if they end up getting large enough in water, they will come out on land. Now, here's the kicker. I have never seen an Archon landborn on Earth. I've seen it on other planets. You might find them in the deep, deep forest, okay, or way deep in the swamps. These guys aren't exactly built for land operation. But those little feet that you see, as they get bigger, that's literally what they walk on. Okay. Now, when you take a look at it, their society literally has nothing to do with each other. Like I said, the Archon are a rare race. They literally adapt to the society of whatever host they end up in. Okay. Their entire setup is based on survival. Now, once they get to a certain level, they will eventually figure out how to get into orbit. Now, that's done in a lot of different fashions. Bearing in mind, the Archon can survive extreme pressure. One of their methods of getting off the planet is literally they will get onto either a volcano that's erupting. After getting onto an erupting volcano, they ride it into the upper atmosphere. Now, you'll notice if you're looking at the picture, you'll notice that there is a set of flanges of wings, of wing-like organisms that are set up at the midway point. That is what they use to fly. Those paddle feet that they've got are what they use to guide where they're going, to steer their trajectory. Okay, now something you do have to realize. When they first take over a host, they immediately go after the cerebral cortex so they can gain access to the higher mental functions. Okay, things like your higher skill, the higher rare senses like telepathy, empathy, precognition, what people call metaphysical tools. Okay, now when you're looking at that, these guys do not have ships, and here's why. Once they get into orbit, they still continue to grow. As they grow, they become larger and larger to the point that they literally eat mineral space debris. Now, remember, there's one thing you gotta realize with the Archon. They are masters of camouflage, which means they can set things up by deliberate choice to become fully transparent, meaning you won't see them if you're looking directly at them. Fortunately, their primary food happens to be biodegradables and minerals. They are not carnivores. Okay, now I will use the term carrion because if something's breaking down, they'll consume it. Now, again, if you've got questions as we go along, absolutely ask. Because I did go through all 119 races I've listed so far. And what do we got? And we've got 11 races to deal with before I get into the audience. Okay, so now we go from the Archon and we go back to the elephant that we talked about 2 days ago. Now the elephant, there is a group called the Hadar. Okay, these are the elves that literally live at the bottom of Mariana's Trench. Now, if we take a look at them, and let's just scroll down, make sure I get all this organized right. Yes, I've got notes because I got way too much going through my head. Okay, now, when you take a look at the Hadar, number one, they live underwater. They moved from the plains onto the shorelines and eventually adapted to living underwater. But we are talking about something that took literally millions of years. Okay, they have moved underwater and they are still elephant. They still have the same outlook. Okay, but they live under a monarchy. Okay, and it depends on what's going on. But their monarchy literally dictates how to interact and how to keep their society safe. Now, if you take a look, the biggest concentration of them, and good luck getting to these guys, by the way, for those of you that are thinking it's a good idea. You know, the neat little part is with the Hadar, they live, if you go into the Marianas Trench and go below the silt level, which, as far as I understand, is about 2 miles down. Okay, underneath that, you will find an entire civilization designed to live literally underwater. You know, the neat part about it is when the Hadar first started striving to understand humans, they came to the surface and they grabbed a human. Absolutely, they abducted them. but they didn't abduct them using ships or anything else. It was literally come out of the water, grab somebody off the shore, take them back to the water. Now, for some reason, the early abductees panicked a lot, because what would happen is the Hadar would take them underwater. Remember, Hadar can breathe underwater. Okay, humans can't. So the Hadar would collect up a human, and bear in mind there was a lot of abductions that took place before they ever got to humans. Okay, same problem though. You grab a tiger, okay, or you grab a panther and you pull it underwater. It will thrash for a while and then quit. Okay, it took the Hadar a staggering amount of time to figure out that land-based organisms could not actually survive underwater. So they drag them underwater and they figured, okay, they were struggling for the first little while. And then about 30 feet underwater, they quit struggling. So the Hadar would take them all the way to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Now here's the kicker. Take them to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. You're looking 6 miles down. Okay, by the time they got them to their area, and they knew they had to have an oxygen chamber, but they'd let the abductee go, and the abductee would be dead. Can't imagine why. Okay, but the Hadar, they have a caste system. Literally, their whole society is based on what they do for a living, essentially. Okay. Now, when you're looking at their justice, the Hadar, just like the elephant, go by royal decree. Whoever is the king at the time says, this is what we're doing. On the first breach, a Hadar will be put to work detail. Quite often that really refers to, okay, you're going up, you're going to collect a species, bring them down so we can work with them. Okay, on the second offense, okay, we have the military service. And yes, the Hadar are definitely geared for war. But you got to understand what they're dealing with. They believe in two totally separate higher entities. They believe in source as the primary, but they put all of their focus into Esau, into Mother Earth itself. And the reason for that is because she's who brings life to them. She's the one that supplies the whole 9 yards. Okay. Now the nice part about it, like the Hadar race pulled away from the rest of them. Bear in mind, they went underwater. But it wasn't until the human race, somewhere I believe, and somebody's probably going to correct me on this, but I believe it was in the mid-18th century, like only 150, 200 years ago, okay, that humans developed the diving bell, okay, which worked out well. Because the Hadar were watching them, watch the humans use this diving bell to get underwater. Problem, though, is the Hadar didn't understand the technology. So what would end up happening? Saint, how you doing? Glad you could join us. What the Hadar did was they took them and they went, okay, we got to use these type bells, these bell type things, and utilize those. So they ended up literally stealing or confiscating a couple of the diving bells, and they grab a human and put it inside. This worked rather well. I mean, the humans still complain. What do we got here? Granted, the humans still struggled, but what ended up happening was the Hadar took the bell, and drug it underwater. Not a real big problem until what ended up happening as they got deeper was the pressure started getting to the humans. Okay. And when the pressure got into any of the living organisms, and the pressure, even in spite of the fact they were inside the bell, okay, the humans end up getting crushed. Again, get them down underwater. All of a sudden, we got a problem. They're dead. Okay, not real good conversationalists once you're dead. I don't know if you guys have ever tried talking to a corpse, but it doesn't work well. So they ended up, and it was only about the middle of our 18th century, as in about 130 years ago, that the Hadar finally figured out what was necessary, and they developed a gel that they could force into a human system, okay, that would end up filling the lungs with and as it turned out, was kind of white liquid, okay. Sometimes it would come up and would show up a little on the blue side, but that was due to oxygenation, okay. So they captured them, and what they did with this liquid is they would force it into the human's body. Net result, they're saying their whole blood system would be flooded with this gel. Now the thing there, I shouldn't say blood system, but the entire oxygenation system. That's why I say the blood got hit. But it would reinforce, because it was now a gel, not a coagulated blood flow. The humans would be able to breathe longer. So I get them all the way down into the bottom. Now they could start talking to them. And that's how the Hadar finally discovered humans weren't trying to kill the Hadar. Humans were simply very literally ignorant. Okay. So when they had a few that succeeded, they turned around and sent them back up. Okay. And much like the other alpha races, Hadar had the capacity to do a mental overlay. But in their case, instead of utilizing a deer or an owl, they used a dolphin or a squid. Okay. And we'll get those squids a little later. They're another neat little batch. But they put them back up on the surface. As the pressure started to decrease around the human would cough up this liquid. Okay. Usually it comes out as a milky white or a light blue, depending on how your eyes work. But no harm it was built in such a way that no harm befell the humans, or other races for that matter. Aside from this issue of where's all this blue glock coming from. Okay, so they turned around, and that's when they started doing some interaction and communication with humans, amongst other races. Okay, now the neat part about it, let's just take a peek here. Now, what the Hadar did, on top of their ability to function underwater completely, they also developed, they focused on liquid magic, making liquid of any form do what it could. With this in mind, you take some of the volatile Hadar mages, Hadar shamans or mages, you pick, okay, but they could literally, by simple thought and working with certain sigils, certain vocal configurations, they could coagulate every blood cell in the human body just by hitting the human body with a sonic impact. Okay, not a lot of fun for humans, but this is just one of the ways that the Hadar stay isolated. That and the fact they're below the silt level in the Mariana Trench, so you don't see a lot of them. Okay, there are a lot of other races down there as well that aren't necessarily sentient, but we will get to a few of those. Now, what do we got here? Just mark these guys off. Okay, now, and again, let's deal with this. This is why I got all the books running. Not E, we gotta go down to N. Now we're gonna look at the Naga here. Not that one. All I'm doing is scrolling down to find the picture. There we are. And this is a Naga, and I'm pretty certain you won't have seen them. Okay. Where are we here? Oh, did I miss something? I missed something there. Well, that's annoying. But we go there, we go copy, and be so much better if I were actually more adept at this. But since I'm not, I'll deal with what I can. And here we are, Storm. You may have these, I honestly don't recall. But this is a picture of the Naga. Now, the neat part with the Naga is this. We're dealing with a race that, where did we go? Love when I lose track of what I've got marked down here. Here we are. We are dealing with a race that are literally, they can be anywhere, and I'm talking adults, will be anywhere from 9 to 15 feet long. Okay, which means when they come up on their abdomen, they will stand easily 6 feet tall. But their arms are a little longer than you might think. Like they're certainly a little longer than what is seen in humans. Oh, Saint's just letting us know there was a character merman from the He-Man cartoon series who always reminded me of an alien / human / eel or fish. Yeah, I didn't actually personally watch He-Man that much myself. Okay, I'm wondering if because I don't recall much of He-Man. Other than the size of his sword. Now that was something else. But when we're looking at the Naga, number one, you're looking at 6 to 15 or 9 to 15 feet. Whoops. Oh, did I not send it? I may have forgot to hit send. I did.
It just took me a minute to process it. It's up on the screen now.
Okay, good. Let's close that down. Oh, there we are. Thank you very much, Sir Storm. Now, the Naga, that is what they look like. But here's the neat little kick. Their arms do not have bones. Okay? They literally lay their arms beside them, and then they will move through the water just like a fish does. Okay? The only skeleton that these guys actually have is literally down the length of the spine. So when you're dealing with them, what you're looking at, what look like arms, are arms, but they are straight muscle. Okay. They are also, by the way, capable of punching a hole by pure muscle. Anybody that has studied martial arts, you may have done the neat little sandbox trick where you lock your hand and drive it into a thing of sand to improve the strength of your fingers. These guys are born with them that way. And of course, their fingers they taper down to a point into a very sharp tip. Needless to say, one of these guys, if they have to deal with a predator, if they're trying to defend themselves, they will lock their hand and punch a straight hole in. And all they gotta do is punch it in, and as the hand goes in, they twist the hand. Net result, they close their, and then when they close their hand inside the cavity, they pull it out. Okay, with a whole chunk of whatever they got a hold of. Now, they are carnivorous. They are, they are cannibalistic and carrion. They will eat whatever is available. But they are water dwellers. Okay, you'll see them. Well, you may not see them, but they occupy oceans, lakes, ponds, rivers. But what they do when they move, like I said, they drop their arms beside them, and then arms and all, they literally pass through the water. Okay, just like a snake will. Now, when you look at their reproduction, yeah, these guys won't make you feel better, Joe. I was lucky I didn't end up afraid of snakes. I ended up afraid of horses. But these guys, now, the funny part about it, where are we here? I did not mark that in. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, now with the Naga, number one, they are a binary race. In other words, it does require a male and a female. Problem: you never know who you're getting a hold of, because here's the kicker to it. Here's the kicker to it. Their whole nesting ritual is they will get into a nesting ball. Now, humans used to call it an orgy. The difference is these guys fertilize the eggs outside of the body. Okay, the female still produces the eggs. The male produces produces the sperm. Okay, and what you end up with is a whole pile of little guys that are literally looking for their own food. Immediately upon birth, they're fully capable. Okay, now the nice part about, so to speak, these guys again they don't have ships. They can adapt to other worlds, but getting to them is sometimes a little problematic because they don't go there of their own accord. Not usually. Okay, but they are highly adaptable. Storm goes, if anyone remembers the man from Atlantis from the 70s, that's how the Atlanteans swam. Yeah, and if you watch the merman, okay, if you watch the way they portray mermaids swimming, or for that matter, the Terran mammal manatee, that is how they swim. Is they literally just swim through the water this way. Now the thing is, when you're looking at the Naga, when they are born, okay, they are born as a larva. Okay, because it's an egg sac, much along the lines of what frogs produce. But as they grow, and they grow pretty quickly, because you got to remember, their food source is pretty wide ranging. Okay, so as they grow, they will eat anything they can get their hands on, basically. Okay, and again, they don't have, when they go with this idea, and you'll notice a lot of these have this might is right idea. They are a very volatile race. Don't tangle with these guys in the water. On land, it's not quite so bad. They can travel on land because they can breathe water as well. Okay. But the neat part about it, okay, is that they end up utilizing whatever they can to get around. Okay. But I wouldn't be expecting to watch the Ciénaga on Earth. Technically, it's possible, but if that's going to be the case, you can bet you're going to find them in the swamps or in water-laden tree lines. Now, where are we here? We go down a little further. And now these guys, I know you've seen. Like, I go all the way down to find them. Grab this. Like I said, these are all just races that are from them that live in the water. So we scroll down. Here we are. Now, I don't know if you got this. And again, Storm, this is the Udina. Okay. Well, I don't think I saw that come out. Sure. Can't see what I'm looking at. Okay, we're having fun trying to get that one up. Let's see. Need that. We go copy. And we come back to nope, not that. Yeah, we're having fun trying to get this in place. Okay, looks like we're going to have a problem here. Because what I'm trying to do is get you a picture. I'm only going to try one more time. And see if we can drag it this way. And apparently not. So we go copy. This is literally the last time. You may not get a picture of this one. And apparently we're not going to get that one to move. Don't know why. I'm not going to waste any more time on it. Anyway, because of the fact I can't do anything about it. Rachel, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, I can't get you a picture of that one. It's not copying over, and I'm just not wasting any more time on it. But if you watch the movie Arrival, okay, you'll see these great big heptapods, 7 tentacled entities that literally drew in their whole written language was done in ink. Okay, now, wish I could get you a picture, not going to happen today. Welcome to Tech and Me. Okay, but the ones that I show you there, okay, they are literally their heptapods. Okay, they've got 5 individual tentacles and 2 much like the padded tentacles that you'll see on squibs, on Terran squibs. Okay, now I will tell you, people keep the scientists that watch them have often mistaken them for octopus. But like I said, they have number 1, 7 tentacles, not 8. Okay, the octopus is another thing we'll get to at a different point. Okay, but these guys operate, they run a council of 3 to run their world. Okay. But their whole system is built on a corporate superstructure. Boy, don't we have fun here? I think this is one of the reasons why I'm going to be taking a break, for a couple of weeks here. Just not right now. But the thing with the Udina is, first and foremost, they aim at, when we talk about racial unity, we are talking about wherever they set up, they are looking at the idea of unifying each other. Unifying with each other. Now, they do actually have a starship. Have you guys ever seen an egg-shaped starship? Okay, because that's what they come in on. But what they'll do is they'll land, and then they let the ship come apart once they know that the environment is habitable. Okay, most of the time they will find a Gaboran to land on. Okay, and become part of the defense structure for. Now, I'm going to jump out of sequence here in a manner of speaking. Of course, you guys don't actually know what sequence I'm working with. But the Udina are literally, they're mistaken for octopus a lot of the time. Problem is, they are not octopus. Okay, but there is another race that is in book 2. Okay, it's in volume well, it'll be upcoming eventually, I'll figure that out. But that's the Udari. Okay, now the Udari will reach 50 to 60 feet tall. Okay, and quite often have been mistaken on Earth for Kraken, for giant squids. Okay, understanding the big difference between a giant squid and the Udari is Udari are sentient to the point of being tactically evolved, meaning you put the dairy up against a giant squid, and rest assured the giant squid is going to lose. Now again, the Udari, much like the Udina, do believe in both source and whatever Gaboran they've come to inhabit. On Earth, they worship Esau. Okay, there's another planet cousin to Esau that they worship by the name of Krita, but Krita herself is another Gaboran. And here's the kicker: I'm going to just throw this out there for you. It's going to throw you guys for a loop, but that's okay. Okay, Earth, as in Sol, our solar system, is, you're going to love this one, brace yourself for it, it's a trinary star system. Humans just don't know it yet. Okay, humans still see this solar system as a single star. It is not. But you guys will figure that out in about 100, 150 years. Okay, so this is where the Udina come in. And again, Udina and Udari quite often will be on the same ship. They are simply different levels of cognition. Same idea as the Zeta Reticulans and the Zeta Reticulan D. Okay, where the one is simply more advanced than the other. Now, when you take a look at that, okay, we end up with a really neat setup because, and I mentioned I was going to go back and deal with the octopus momentarily. The octopus, the Terran octopus, are from the same world the Udina came from. The octopus were pets. Now they've gone a little wild. Okay, and of course they've evolved on Earth, making it very different. Now, where are we here? Yes. Now, let's move on to these people. Way down. And here we have this neat little group. Okay. This one that we're looking at now are the whales. Okay, this is really annoying. I don't understand why the pictures are not coming up. Think we're gonna have to chalk this up to literally a technological glitch. Whoop. Yeah, we got another one you're not gonna see. I think I'm gonna run into a problem with the last of these. I don't know why, but I'm not gonna fight with them. The whaleosh are a water elemental. The whaleosh are also, by the way, especially for those of you of the pagan faith, the whaleosh are also known to take to the air. Okay, which is why I've always held that water and air are the same element. These guys, these are basically the real deciding factor. Is the whaleosh are liquid. Okay, that's the biggest issue with them. And unfortunately, no, I'm not giving you a picture because it won't take it. What I don't know is why I can't seem to get these to work. Nope. Looks like we're not going to get the rest. So I do apologize for that. I've got the pictures, but I got to figure out why they're not popping. But that's going to have to wait. The whaleosh, in any event, when we take a look at the whaleosh here, they are independent. They're independent, mutually adaptive water elementals.
Keith, I have it. I have the whaleash.
Oh, perfect. You should be getting the whalon soon.
Well, the whaleash I already had. We used it in another show. So give me a second and I'll post it up here.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the transfer, but thank you so much, Storm. The whaleosh, when they interact, they will merge with each other completely and yet still maintain their independent identity. This is how they pass on information from all over the place. Now, I have seen, okay, you got your whaleosh, which can be either airborne or waterborne. Okay, but there is a smaller, very rare form that shows up. Okay, anything liquid, that is of a liquid nature, you may find in the way of a whaleosh. Okay, and some of them get to be a little twisted. One of the rarest ones I've ever seen was literally a plasma whaleosh, meaning yes, you get a whole pile of blood and you may find one, but the big difference there is a whaleosh, the waterborne, can trigger and it literally can give birth to a tsunami, okay, or a tidal wave. The airborne whaleosh will create a tornado. And you can see where with these guys that conflict is not a good idea. Okay, they are very much a socialist commune. They all look out to the community. The other thing is, bearing in mind with the whaleosh, they happen to be cousins to the Coridon and the Holic. Okay, in other words, earth elementals and water and the fire elements. Needless to say, the Wailosh and the Hollock don't really get along that well. More to the point, they get along fine, they just don't interact. Okay, but these guys will, and they almost always stay attached to water. What you may find them do on occasion, though, is they'll come up to their fullest height possible and then throw themselves across a land bridge, usually not more than about 50 or 60 feet, in order to get to another body of water, and then carry on. Kind of looks like a water spout, okay, where it pops up, you'll see it arc and go back into another puddle. Now, the other thing you'll see with the Wailosh is they get along very well with the Hadar, okay, because they enter and they live in the same area. Of course, the Wailosh come and go as they please. Okay, now, when they start creating a problem, because the governing body at the time determines what's going on. If a Wailosh breaks protocol, okay, what ends up happening is they get cut off from all communication. They get cut off from all community communication, leaving them feeling very isolated, very lost. This can lead to essentially discorporation as they let themselves dissipate directly into whatever body of water they've got. Okay, now for them, they worship what they call the prime drop, meaning, just like many other species, the Wailosh look at their evolution and go, we were made in our higher entity's image. Okay, kind of an interesting setup for them. Now, what do we got here? Now, when you start watching Wailosh merge, okay, where they all start to gather, okay, that's when you have an interesting little twist. Oh. My phone decided it was going to start recording what I was saying. That's always neat. But when they merge, the dominant personality is the one with the strongest will, essentially, is the one that steps up. Okay, is the one that steps up and says, okay, I'm now taking dominant control of what we're up to. And that's why they don't have a lot of conflict per se. Now, and the thing you gotta remember with Wailosh, they can spread themselves out thin enough. Some of the more adventurous ones, what they'll do is they'll spread themselves out so thin that they literally can ride the air currents all the way into the upper atmosphere and literally by choice get off the planet and get off Earth. This is why they don't have, why the Wailosh do not have a ship. They don't require it. And for those of you that are going by the normal idea of, well, it's so cold in outer space, they couldn't survive. They can, but what they do is they will become somewhat crystalline. They'll pull themselves together to hold themselves in place and then let the currents in space carry them where they will. Be it magnetic push, gravitational pull, maybe they get caught in the tailstream of a Gamoran. Okay, and they will spread out around the cosmos. But you gotta realize, Wailosh are simply a liquid race. Okay. Now, let us see. I'm gonna try this again. If you've already got it there stored, by all means, let me know. Where are we here? See if we can do that. This is hopefully the Wayland. And of course, I am not able to even find the base. So yeah, you're definitely not getting that one. What is that? Nope. Not going to fight with that one. The Wayland are what you would consider merman. Okay. Now you've got two different type of what you would call a merman. You've either got the highborn, which have legs and can walk on earth, and they can walk on land, or you've got the lowborn, which still they have the lower extremity, looks like a fish's tail. Okay, and again, they are strictly underwater. Okay, you don't see the Wayland up on the surface very much. They have been known, if they deem it necessary, to remove problem children. You know, if they see a boat that is doing the wrong thing to the ocean, the Wayland are right there to come down and break the seal on the hull. Okay, the reason for that is they are here to protect the Gabori, aka Itza, the planet we're living on. Now, I do have to look at something here. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not able to get it to you either. It's, the other thing you got to look at with the merfolk, okay, with the Wayland, is in between their fingers, between their fingers and their toes, they have webbing. That's because of the fact, well, more to the point, they've got a skin flap. And that's so they can swim more efficiently. Now, what do we got here? Now, the Queespar are from book 2. These guys I definitely don't have a pitch for anyway. Queespar come from the same world that the Udina and the Udari come from. Queespar look like actual squids. Now, here's the thing with the Queespar. Okay, they have an armored hull. Okay, that neat little head of theirs is armor plated. And this is how they fight. This is why they don't necessarily utilize their tentacles in a combat. They will punch a hole clean through somebody. Okay, but where are we with the Queespar itself? Let's see. I gotta pull up book 2. Okay, I not grab the right one. There we go. We are not having fun with tech. In case you hadn't noticed, tech is not necessarily my strong suit. I can't go all the way back up to the top. I doubt very much I've got this. I don't think so. Okay, now the Queespar, humans will see them as squids. The difference between a Terran squid and a Queespar, and I do not have a picture of this, is the Queespar has an armored shell. Okay, it is not this pliable thing that Terran squids have. Okay, but they are very much like they are a warring race between them. Yes, they've got one monarch, but all of them are split up into family clans. And you gain, from their standpoint, the more successful they are, the more territory they can successfully defend. Okay, now these are a couple of races I'm dealing with right now that are not in book one. They're not in volume one. Okay. Now the Queespar believe in one entity, and that is they believe literally in what they call the prime originator. Okay, they do come to take care of whatever planet they end up on. And bear in mind, when they are born, when a Queespar, much like, quite frankly, the Udina, when they are born, they are not quite microscopic. They're about the size of a tadpole. Okay, but in case you're unaware of it, tadpoles on Earth have been picked up out of a pond by a tornado and fired into the upper atmosphere. For them, this is just plain normal. And of course, being that small, they'll survive it. Now, when you're looking at the Queespar, when you look at their weaponry, they use literally ionized projectile weapons with time solidification ammo. And what I mean by that is they produce their own ammo by condensing water. Okay, by condensing and charging water inside their system. Then they will spit it out, much like an archerfish does, with the sole difference that when they ionize it, they can punch a hole in armor. Okay, what you got to remember. Okay, what you got to remember is that not all races are humanoid. And humanoids are not necessarily the most efficient race, most efficient build. Okay, but now this is that other neat little part of a race that goes way beyond. Like I said, they're born about the size of a Terran tadpole, but when they finally get themselves into outer space, okay, they become capable of turning. What do I got here? They become capable of interstellar travel by essentially a biomagnetic pulse that they fire outside the back end, in between the tentacles. Okay, now they've got all kinds of neat relations. And bear in mind, they have the same capacity whether they are on Earth or in outer space. Okay, they have. When you take a look around the top of the shell of a Queespar, they've got 8 little holes that are around the shell. And like I said, unfortunately, I don't have a picture of these guys yet. But when they have to go to war, when they have to defend themselves, they have 8 cyclonic cannons, okay, that literally fire a solid pellet of water, or in the right conditions, a solid pellet of ice. And they'll rifle it through the tube to take care of whatever they have to. Okay, at the back end of them, okay, they have literally got an acetic gel. Now, understand, with this gel they spit, unlike Terran octopi that spit ink out behind them to cloud, the Queespar spit an acid gel out. And the thing is, it's highly corrosive. to the point it hits the hull of a ship, it will burn right through the ship. Net result, you have oxygen compromisation. Terrible word. But these guys spread out. They are nomadic. They, as much as they are constantly in contact. Okay. And they will communicate with the Udina. The Udina tend to stay in a ship. The Udiri will quite readily go without one. Okay. Now, hopefully this is making sense for you guys. And again, it is a lot of this is already written down. Now, I do have to find out. I believe those are snails, but I gotta double check. Let's go all the way down. Way down. I'm gonna view doc. There's view doc. We already talked about it. Oh, I did miss that one. Nope, didn't miss that one. That's another race. Ah, where do we go? Oh, I skipped these guys. The Zeoplani. Now, the Zeoplani are literally, they evolve underwater. Okay, but they're not necessarily tiny little guys. The Zeoplani, from your standpoint, look very much like a telescopic sponge. Okay, but they communicate via sonic pulse. So if they feel that there's a problem in the area they're in, and quite often they will stick to coral reefs. Okay, there's a whole pile of other things go along with that. But the Zeoplani, I haven't got a lot of information on them just yet. I can tell you they tend to be very sedentary. Now, who are these? Okay, I know who those are. And then we have now, this is another one of the races, and apparently I missed a few. Definitely missed a few. But we have Zidarian. Now, here's the neat thing with the Zidarian. Very technologically advanced. You guys have already seen a reasonable rendition of them. Okay, I forget the race's name, but you remember the fish-faced people on Star Wars. Okay, those are Zidarian. Renee, I am so glad you dropped by. You know, absolutely catch the rest of it. And if you've got any questions, absolutely drop me a line. I'll be more than happy to try and accommodate. Now, the Zidarian are one of these races that is very technologically advanced, but they are not from Earth. They are clearly an off-world. Okay. Now, I will have to go back up to them. Don't even know which one that is. And we go all the way down. Missing that. I gotta find a couple of others here, but let's go back up and find the yawn. Oh, there we are. No, that's the econ. Those are always fun, people. Well, there we are. I was looking for the Johan here. Another one of these neat little seaborne races are the Johan. Now, the Johan, from your standpoint, look like jellyfish. Okay. And the thing is, they are not, like, we are not talking tiny little critters. Okay. But understand, not every jellyfish is a Johan, but virtually every Johan looks like a jellyfish. Okay. They do have a tendency of reproducing in droves when they get to it. Now, again, this is one of those races that are only starting to document, or more to the point, starting to pull the information together for. Now, who is this other one? Oh, I missed the Sirens and the Argon. So let us go back up and see where we find it. There we are. Now, oh yes, the Argon. These are literally, by human definition, they are considered a mutated crab. You're looking at crabs that are a good 3 feet across. They're not incredibly large individuals, but they worship the prime originator. Again, whether you call God, Allah, Nataj, the great spark, the great flame, the prime originator, it's all the same individual. Okay. And for those of you that want to go down that fine little rabbit hole, we are talking about something that's been here since reality of this caliber began. Now, like I said, the Argon are literally, they look like a crab. Yes, this means they've got 6 legs and 2 massive claws. But the thing is, that massive claw is very capable of fine work. But much more importantly, when you look at the Argon, is you got the big combat claws. Okay. But when you look at the other side of it, okay, they have a small extendable claw that comes out of the forearm. Okay, to produce a smaller claw, or more to the point, smaller digits. But we're only talking about 3 digits. Okay, that pop out where they can do their fine work. Now let me just double check. Nope. Now, the thing with the Udina, the Udiri, the Argon, the Xenoplane, these are all from the same planet. Okay. Do I have a name for you for the planet? At this point, no. I've been looking at the races. Now, let us go way down here. We're going to cover one other neat little race. Yes. There we are. Now, the Sirens. You call them Sirens. The reality is, when you look at the Sirens, they are actually Hadar. Okay? They're just a specialized branch of them. What it is you've got Sirens that are, you've got Hadar that are phenomenal at singing. And yes, they do produce a very hypnotic sound, which has been known to draw many an individual into the nut house. Okay, but that's because you're talking about sonic warfare. The Sirens, what they deal with, okay, they are literally the combat branch of the Hadar. Now, Hadar can fight, don't get me wrong, but the Sirens fight without compunction. Okay, but they don't go to war. What they do is they take out the small boats. Small boats, small complications. But they just take them out because they're there. Little on the antisocial side. So when you're dealing with them, again, it's just a little bit of an offshoot. What we got to remember is the variations of life out there are mind-boggling. Now, I can't do anything about that. But that is that's a lot of the different races that are seaborn. Now, I missed one here. I'm going to have to see if I can find it. There we are. Oh, yes. Overshot completely. We have another neat little race here. I'm going to call them, like I'm putting them in this group. Okay. Again, I don't have a picture of them yet because I'm pulling out a book too. Okay. But these are Balar. Now, Balar look, for all intents and purposes, like a snail. Okay, but you gotta understand, they are like a snail, like no snail you've ever seen. Okay, let me see here. Nope. These guys literally will not only travel by foot, okay, I mean literally by foot, but they eat with the same foot because as they go over organic material, whether it is a tree, a plant, a one sentient individual, doesn't matter. Okay, they will walk over it, and the acid they exude is what they use to actually, absorb the nutrients. And they will do it to living organisms, dead organisms, doesn't matter. Fortunately, they're not that difficult to remove. If you're alive, much like a snail, you can literally pick them up by the shell, pull them off, and let go of them. Okay, so hopefully this is making sense. You got anything else on these guys? Well, and again, you are looking at a race. When I call them an herbivore, it literally they are an herbivore, but they also will dissolve carrion. How's that for blowing your brain out the window? Now here's the neat thing. They are run on a matriarchal government. The prime matriarch determines what you're up to and what they're up to. Okay, and it's the prime matriarch that says, you go and deal with this problem. Okay, but you violate that and you get demoted all the way down to messenger. Now, bear in mind, one of the problems that the Balar have is because of the fact they are not a combat race. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I just got informed of another race I got to deal with. That's going to be an ongoing process anyway. Okay, but Balar again are not from Earth. Okay, they literally come from another planet, and they simply come in search of the Gamorrean to take care of the Gamorrean. These are kind of like your pilot fish that hang on to sharks. Okay, they follow them around in order to protect them. Now, one of the neat parts about all this is all of these races that are revolving around water are kind of an important factor because they're also, these same races are what absorb the impurities in the water. As in, you got fish that, let's face it, they go to the washroom. Okay, they just don't use the toilet. But people like the Balar, they literally feed on these droppings. Okay, when we talk about the catfish being a bottom feeder in an aquarium, the balar are bottom feeders in the middle of the ocean. Now I gotta see if I've got. Not the race I was looking for. Ow, that was painful. Yes, in case you haven't noticed, the throat is starting to sneeze, and that's okay. I can work with it. Nope. I've got other stuff I'm working on. There's no question there. But that is one of these neat little situations. That's just some of the races we're working on. Okay. And we are going to cover more of them. It's just a question of going through them and figuring out which ones to work with. Thank you so much, sir, LA. So, we are working on this neat little thing. I will be bringing more books up. But if any of you have a question, this would be a good time to turn around and ask. Okay, we've still got half an hour, but I did come to the conclusion that there is this issue that people may have questions around. Okay, right now, I am looking at bringing out the smaller books. I'll be working on some of them tonight. Okay, now let me go back up here just to the other book. And yeah, as you can tell, my throat is starting to get worn. Okay, did I miss anybody here? I don't honestly think so. Oh, what is it? Oh, let us take a look at Talon. Because the Talon are an interesting race. They're not exactly a seaborne race. Let's roll that back up. Okay, when you take a look, now this is a race, and I'm just tossing this one in there because I got room for it. Okay, but when you're looking at the Talon, and let us see, that would be really nice if I could do this. Let's go to here. Hey, hot dang, would you look at that? Now, these guys that I've just sent into Storm, these guys are the Talon. Now, these ones I've had problems with my entire life. These are also the same guys that literally, when I was just a wee lad, they abducted me and literally snapped my arm to simply find out how much it would take to do it. Okay, I'm going to take a page out of LA's book, and I'll be right back. But if I don't do something about this right now, we're all in trouble. Well, me mostly. Well, that was annoying. Let's see if we got something here. Oops. There we are. Where are we? Thank you so much, LA. Okay. Well, that explains. Anyway, guys, my apologies. Finally figured out how I was doing that, and hopefully that will help. Okay. Did pretty much the same thing I did with under LA's direction the other day. Okay. And all I did was go and grab a spoonful of peanut butter. But at least I can see my temperature come back down. Whether that's the best way of dealing with it, I don't know yet. Okay. But, and for those of you that are worried about it, because I know LA is, no, I'm not on any medication. Quite frankly, the last time I went to get on medication for blood sugar, it almost made me blind. So I'm thinking this is a bad idea. But for those for the rest of you, if you're having trouble with blood sugar, understand my system doesn't work normally. But get yourself, if you're having trouble with your blood sugar, with your eyesight, with energy levels, get your health checked. Okay. Now, there's a reason I don't go to doctors myself, because they can't track it. And that's me personally. But I will tell you, for you, if you're having trouble, your eyesight's going wonky, you're all of a sudden losing eyesight, whatever it is, okay, very critical that you get it looked at. Because I'll tell you, as much as a pain in the neck it is to have to go to a doctor, it's worse to have to go to a mortician. Because I will tell you, morticians have no sense of ha-ha. Okay, but when we look at the Talon, okay, and the Talon are in volume 1, okay, when they're walking on all 6 legs, okay, you're looking at what looks like, if you remember back in the 50s, there was a movie called Ants. No, my apologies. The movie back in the 50s was literally called Them. And it revolved around 6-foot ants. Yeah, you really did. Ellie goes, you got lots less control with the mortician too. Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you, they don't handle shock well. But when you look at the Talon, when they're standing up on both feet, they're usually around the 5-foot mark. However, if they stand up straight, they could probably make 6. But these guys are literally, they're web slingers, by the way. Meaning, now, some of you may have had this experience where you woke up, you felt you were abducted, and you remember waking up in what amounts to a cocoon. If that is the case, these guys are probably the ones responsible. Okay, because they do generate their own web, but it comes out of glands in their mouth, not out of the tail. Now, when you're dealing with the Talon, they have one primary matriarch. Okay, and that is, she's the one that produces eggs. The rest are all geared around it. And yes, I will be getting all that written down. Humans consider them to be ants. Just really, really big ants. Okay. Now, the neat part about it, you take a look at an ant that's 5 feet tall with a set of mandibles that's this big that is 1.5 feet to 2 feet across. You've got an interesting problem. Okay. And yeah, these guys are more than capable of carrying a staggering amount of weight. Well, that's an interesting idea. Now, there is one reason there is minimal conflict amongst the talons, and that is because with the talons, they turn around and have a neat little pop problem. Okay, they disobey a direct order. They just simply get torn apart. Doesn't matter if that order is as simple as pick up the debris in this room or organize the seeds in that room. Okay, they literally, if they balk at it at all, they are torn apart and added to the food pile. Okay, there is no real functional room for maneuvering. But here's the neat thing, and I've only seen these guys a couple of times. When you take a look at a talon ship, okay, if you see them above the clouds, you'll notice there are usually 3 colors of lights coming from them. Okay, and you can tell they're coming from them because they're lighting the clouds from above. And there'll be the 3 primary turn colors: red, yellow, and blue. Okay, and these tend to travel in a cyclic pattern underneath the ship. But and then you'll get other odds and ends going on. When a talon ship comes to land, have you ever seen a ship that literally looks like a shell? But what it is it's got the main shell, and then the legs fold up underneath it to create a heat shield as it re-enters. Okay, these guys are not conquest oriented, but they are harvesters. They come into whatever environment and grab what they feel they can band that they can use. They will not strip the place. And here's why. They will return periodically to the same grove or to the same area to harvest their idea of food. Okay, sometimes it's people, sometimes it's fruits and vegetables. These guys are literally, where are we here? These guys are, well, they are omnivorous in as much as anything organic they'll consume, but they won't strip a place. Okay, ultimately that's what you're looking at. But these guys can tear down the plant. Bear in mind, these guys are an interesting setup. The neat part with the talon, I only just got informed of this, thank you very much. You've heard me mention the Chitawari. Okay, the Chitawari and the talon come from the same planet. Okay, I was trying to figure out where the connection was. Now I know. Talon and the Chitawari, and I believe the storm has a picture of the Chitawari. Now, do understand, I'm throwing the Chitawari in here because they're connected to the talon. Now, talon will go underwater. They are not amphibious. They simply hold their breath for a very long time. Okay, now, my apologies, not the that I screwed up on. Chitawari, that was absolutely wrong on my place. And I should have said the Chichak. Okay, the Chitawari are a reptilian that evolved on Earth, very much at the same time as the Terranar did. Okay, and a few others. I think you definitely, you've got to have a Chichak. but let's grab it just in case. All the way back. There we are. And we go copy. And we go to here. And we go paste. These are the Cheechak. Okay. And the Cheechak, they come from the same planet as the Cheetawari. Okay. And there's a couple of other entities of different species I've got that, much as they are not including them in races of the world, because they are not sentient, they do not have an organized civilization, but they are nonetheless very real. Okay, I've talked about a couple of these in the past. Okay, and I don't have pictures of them for you right now. Actually, I might. Let me see if I do. Not there. There we are. Let's open that up. What I'm doing is calling up another picture I've got. Where do we go? Yes, I've got a little bit of a hiccup here. Care to come online? What do you think? There we go. These guys come from the same plan. I'm just copying them here so I can get them to Storm. And we go to here. This, I've covered this before, actually, in Race of the Worlds. Okay. But this here is the Vikinar. It is not sentient. It's a wild animal. Okay. But it comes from the same planet. Okay. But you'll notice the similarity. Okay. And the thing is, with the Talon it's not that they're at war with each other, but they're both vying for a place on the planet. And let's go to StreamYard. There we go. Now, I don't know if that last picture is going to work, but we'll see what happens. Okay. One thing we have to remember is when we're dealing with the Talon are not known for being congenial. Mind you, the Cheechak aren't either. Can you picture a world where everybody is literally trying to kill each other? Okay. But we are not talking technological warfare. We are talking about simply a fight to survive. Now, I wonder, I don't think that is there, but didn't think so. See, the neat part here is the Talon build their own ships. The Cheechak do not have ships. Therefore, to get off the planet, they will get onto a ship that somebody else built. Okay. When you take a look at the Viking, I believe it's called the Vikinar. Now I'm drawing a blank, and that just annoys me. Where are we? Nope, not going to look for it there. But what we're dealing with is the Velikor. There we go. What you got to look at. There we go. Now, that happens to be one of the creatures that I managed to find one locally for. So I painted it. These guys, by the way, are night hunters. As you can well imagine, being black, real easy to hide. Now, apparently, we are at the 15-minute mark, and I do appreciate that there in LA. You know, my mind is going a mile a minute. I did not realize how much information I've got that I'm sitting on. And yeah, there's those of you that are going to sit there and go, he's making it up. Okay, I'm certain of that. The reality is, I can't do much about the way you look at it. Okay, but when you start looking at this now, tomorrow I'm going to be looking at some of the woodland races. Okay, as far as their interaction goes. And again, this is just simply to cover some of the races, at least in point form. And again, if you come up with a question or that you didn't realize you had, or it's just come to light, absolutely ask. I will do my best to answer. Now, I do believe I'm still trying to figure out what today is. Okay, that answered that. So, what I'm looking and doing is getting all of this information out as best I can. I've already got laid out a number of smaller books that will be transferred over and enhanced upon. And as they come available, I will absolutely let you know. The neat little part about it is as I get them available, I have decided I'm going to have to start looking at things from a pre-order. Okay? Simply put, that pre-order is what's going to end up funding some of the books because of the problem I've run into with money that belongs to me that isn't coming in. Okay, I'm now having to do things in a slightly different fashion. That's just the reality behind it. But, again, before I run right out of time here, okay, if you go to the top of the stream, you'll find a link called Buy Me a Coffee. Any of the books I talk about, any of the information I talk about, that's where you can get a hold of it, including personal and business consulting, which I've been doing now for, 37 years now, 38 years. Okay. I'm not planning on dying anytime soon, but I don't think anybody plans on it. So when we're looking at that, if you've got questions, check the bottom of this screen. You'll find a copy of, you'll find a way to reach me via Facebook, email, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. The reality is finding me is not that hard. Even if you drop a message in the chat room, in the comments, absolutely, I will do my best to get back to you. The real difficult part with all of this is we are constantly evolving what we're working on. And if you've got an idea as to what would help, what would make things more enjoyable, more entertaining, absolutely drop me a line. Now, we are on, what are we on? We are actually on Sunday. I do not know until, oh, yes, I do. Doorknob. Tomorrow, I'm going to be dealing with the woodland species. Okay. And I will tell you, open invitation, guys. If you know any of the races that are referred to as Fae, drop me a line. It's the one thing I'm having trouble figuring out is what people consider Fae, or what the qualification is for that matter. Okay, but we are looking at getting a number of things dealt with. So I'll be dealing with the woodland tomorrow. Don't know what Friday or what Tuesday is going to run. Okay. What I do know is there is a staggering amount of information still sitting around here. And that's why I say if you've got a question, absolutely ask. That's just the reality behind it. Okay. Now, Makes sense. Some of the races, on Nathan's show a couple of weeks ago, there was a picture, there was a video shown of an odd-looking alien race with only 2 legs and just an itty-bitty body. I found what race they were talking about. Okay. And I wonder if I can pull it up here. I won't be able to pull up a picture, that much I know. I come all the way down here. And not the Spirit Knock. Yeah, I'm not going to bother trying to track it down. It might be that. So let's see if that's right. Oh, throat's starting to go. That's always fun. There we are. Okay. There. No, that is not the right one. Oh, I know how to find it. Just before I run out of room here. There we are, the Tolak. The race that Nathan was showing us a picture of. And if you're listening, Nathan, the race that we were looking at that had just the 2 legs and the little body, those are the Tolak. Okay. And yeah, I will more than happily fill you in on it. I don't think, no. But with that in mind, guys, where are we sitting here? Right there. Anyway, I really want to say thank you for sharing your time with me, guys. If you've got questions, absolutely bring them to the table. Pop them into the chat room in all caps, preferably, so I can find them. Okay. And that for that matter, because I'm starting to pull the information together to get it brought out. Okay. Blue, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I'm glad you popped in. Now, that said, I will be back again tomorrow. I hate to do this to you, Blue, but we're on the way out. But, I will be back again tomorrow. We'll be talking about the woodland species. Okay. That said, thank you so very much for sharing your time with us today. Really do appreciate it. Love the support. And I will get back to you again tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sake, stay positive.